thousands who did not have bread. I saw him bring people back from the dead. He drove out demons from the demon bound and taught us how to walk on holy ground. He made the leper skin like new. The storm dissipated when he told it to. Took jars of water, turned it into wine. Save, even heal this heart of mine.
Can we go down to
16?
We have seen his glory.
where are we going to start?
We have seen his glory.
I mean, I know.
We have seen his glory. I was there the day when the dove came down. Saw soldiers with thorns to make his crown. He felt the whole earth shake. Darkness on the land.
It's 44.
We'll start 45.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening. Good to have you with us. This is Darin.
We have one. Is
It's
it
me.
Is it? Yeah, it's the producer.
One viewer. Madam Producer made a great meal.
Goodness
for us.
gracious! That's. And don't take this the wrong way, producer, but that was not the best meal that you've made.
I
Since,
won't take it the wrong way.
What was the best one, do you think?
I think it may have been.
You holding out to
those-
see what's for next week?
No. I think it was those little hamburger steaks. You remember with the sauce, the onions, and that you just kind of
No.
ad-libbed?
Ad-lib.
Salisbury steak.
She did, yeah.
Oh yeah, that was really good. It was
I
pretty
think
tasty.
that may have been the top one. Yeah.
You know, the bad thing about this,
Nobody's watching, so we might as well just kill time.
I look like everything is white, you know, on me.
I just have this.
You know, it's not really. I mean, my hair's brown.
This whole thing is going on
This,
YouTube.
your hair is brown. Just keep telling yourself that.
It's brown. It's a shade of blonde.
Hey, we have Diane. Hello, Diane.
Hey,
Now we
Diane.
can move on.
Now we
Okay.
can.
All right.
We were
It's
waiting.
time to get serious.
Be like everybody else. We're gonna wait for a while for people to
But
get on here.
filter in. It's just like church. You go to worship. You kind of wait till everybody settles
Settles
down, and then we get started.
Okay. Well, we are in John chapter 11, sort of finishing up the chapter. Well, not really finishing up the story of Lazarus, but it's an interesting story. It keeps going. Jesus had said, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." So,
Unbind and set free.
Unbind and
Okay,
set
some
free.
versions say.
Yeah. So he did that. You have to excuse my voice. I was yelling at cattle today. I'm not explaining either.
That's all you're going to say about
Yeah.
that.
Who made out better in that situation? I guess probably you.
I did.
Yeah, for sure.
I did. I did. We had hamburgers tonight, didn't
You sure did. Yeah.
we? All right. Darren's going to read. You want to go 45
Yeah,
through
let's-
57? Is that right?
Well,
Or
we can just finish it. Yeah, that's 57, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, 45.
yeah.
Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what he did, believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. So the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered the council and said, "What are we to do? This man performs many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation." But one of them, Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all, nor do you understand that it's better for you that one man should die for the people, not that the whole nation should perish." He did not say this of his own accord, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for the nation only, but also to gather into one the children of God who are scattered abroad. So from that day on, they made plans to put him to death. Jesus, therefore, no longer walked openly among the Jews, but went from there to the region near the wilderness, to a town called Ephraim, and there he stayed with the disciples. Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and many went up from the country to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. They were looking for Jesus and saying to one another as they stood in the temple, "What do you think? That he will not come to the feast at all?" Now the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that if anyone knew where he was, he should let them know, so that they might arrest him.
So they're after him.
Again,
Still.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting what Caiaphas prophesied. Sort of God overruled what he was. He's going to get the message out, and it's an interesting message about Jesus.
Well, to me, it's he had this prophecy. It was about Jesus specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and he ignored it.
Yeah.
He just flat ignored it, or at least didn't talk about it, or didn't
Didn't
thought
understand
maybe
it?
It didn't
Right.
apply here, or something.
Yeah. So, verse 53, so from that day on, they plotted to take his life.
Before it was just, arrest him,
Mm-hmm.
but, I guess a few times it was kill him. But now the arresting is off the table.
So what would you do to preserve your way of life? If this keeps going on, the Romans are going to come and they're going to strip us of everything here, and we won't have anything left. And so,
I have that.
Let's take him out
in quotations too, because where is it? It was when verse 48. The Romans will come and take away both our place and nation.
Mm-hmm.
As if they're both they're two different things here.
Mm-hmm.
Place, is an authority. Nation, the Romans allowed them to keep their identity,
Right.
and so he's saying if this goes on, they're going to just demolish us,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll have nowhere to go, which of course happened later on, but not at this point. I think the saddest verse in this whole thing was Jesus therefore no longer walked openly among the Jews.
Yeah.
These were the people that he had blessed for thousands of years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that he gives up on them. Obviously he doesn't, but he no longer walks open. He's no longer. Those are his people. He was a Jew. Those are his people, and now he doesn't. He's not safe to walk among his own people.
Well, and all of his steps are ordered by the Father, so he is. He knows how to take care of him and where to. Where to send him. So Jesus is understanding where he should go, and that there's not to spiritualize the text, but we can keep him out of our lives.
Oh yeah,
if we want to,
then,
right?
we can.
That's the beauty of what God has done. He doesn't force anything on us. Obviously, he came. Well, Scripture says he came to his own, and his own received him not.
Mm-hmm.
He came to the Jewish people, and they reject him, and that's what's going on here. And it's an amazing thing that Abraham gets this promise, and all of these people that are born, all these people that flow out of that decision that God made, and here we are with God in a body, walking the earth, doing these miracles, doing things that no one else can do, and that's the point, to make the point that He is the Son of God, and people. It's an amazing thing to just sort of act like that didn't happen, or yes, so that happened. I mean, He raised the guy from the dead. Now this is going to be bad for us. We need to.
How
this is
selfish can you be? I mean, at this
Yeah.
point, instead of focusing on this miraculous event, this man who was dead and now is alive.
Well,
now they're thinking about their reputations, their power, and we've talked about this a lot. It's easy to be tough on them from this far away, and not in the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think Jesus condemned those people who took a little longer to believe in Him? I mean, I sure hope not. Because it takes some of us longer to accept some things. And do you think He's angry with people who just need a little bit more time to think about it and really consider? I mean, doesn't He tell us to count the cost before you listen? Before you decide this, you need to think about what it is you're giving up.
Right.
And are you willing to do that? He tells us to consider that. So I sure am glad that He has patience, and he doesn't slight those of us who take a little longer maybe to come to the faith. And that's a parable when he talking about the laborers that are hired for the day's work, and one it works all day and the other one doesn't work nearly as long, and they get paid the same. And so I think that's Him saying, listen,
let God be the judge.
Exactly. Listen, I just want you to trust me. And anyway.
Well, and thinking about the decision making process that the leaders are going through here, about they're concerned about what the Romans are going to do. If this guy becomes the leader and he goes up against Rome's going to crack down on them. So, and we were talking about, what would you do to sort of save yourself or whatever. It made me think of what Satan says to God about Job. And in Job chapter 2, verse 3, says, "Then the Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil.' And he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason." Well, then Satan says, "Skin for skin." Satan replied, "A man will give..." Now this is what Satan believes about you and me and every human being, I believe. Satan replied, "A man will give all he has for his own life." And this is sort of the position that the rulers here are feeling like Jesus is putting them in. They, very little wiggle room, so he's got to go.
Better for one man. That's what it
right.
says.
And I don't think Caiaphas necessarily understood exactly what was what he was saying, but then Satan says here in Job 2, verse 5, "But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face." And God doesn't believe that about Job. And God, he doesn't do that. But it's just an interesting thing to read this about here in verse 48. If we back to John 11, verse 48, if we let him go on like this, well, they had been talking. What are we accomplishing? Here is this man performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and then the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation. Mm-hmm. So, who's behind that?
Well,
obviously it's not a godly thought,
mm-hmm.
Because Caiaphas he had prophesied this, that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation, and not only for that nation, but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one. So from that day on, they plotted to take his life. I mean, that sounds like a great thing, but they're saying, no, we've got a good thing going here mm-hmm. with Rome. We don't want to mess that up. This guy's going to mess this up. And even with the prophecy, they still, the end result is we need to kill him.
And here's where God could have stepped in. Sometimes we think God should step in certain instances, but here is where he does not step in and keep them from having this thought process.
Right.
God could have said, no. You're going to back away from mm-hmm. him, and because what does Caiaphas say will happen? Yeah. If he keeps going, everyone will believe in him. Well, that's the goal. You would think that God would want everyone to believe in him, but this is not the right way to do it. Mm-hmm. Apparently, for him, he still gives Caiaphas and the other Pharisees the choice mm-hmm. to believe and follow. Or do you think they believe him here? Do you think they believe in Jesus as far as his abilities?
I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, they say, look. Here's a man performing many signs. So
they saw Lazarus. It's not like it's a secret, that of the thing. And they saw the blind man. They questioned him, and so this is no longer a question of is he who he says he is, or can he do these things? Now it's a question of, okay, since he is, what are we going to do with this?
You remember the first miracle? He said, I believe. He said to his mom, "It's not my,
time.
Not my time."
Right.
But now things have moved along at a pretty quick clip here.
As you were reading that from Job, and Satan said, "Skin for skin, a man will do anything to save his own life." Mm-hmm. And God came down in skin, and He did the opposite
mm-hmm.
of that, and just another. Slap in the face, maybe, of Satan, or just another, this is where you're wrong about me.
Well, one of the things that God hates the most is the suppression of truth. You look at Romans chapter 1 mm-hmm. and the problems that are listed there as far as, why the wrath of God is coming. People that suppress the truth, that's not a good thing. To hide that. And so here in Caiaphas, God is he prophesied, and look, was it verse 51? He did not say this on his own, mm-hmm. but as high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation, and not only for that nation, but also for the scattered children of God, to bring them together and make them one.
And where do you get that prophecy?
And so here you have God sort of forcing the truth out. And I love that about God. He's going to tell us the truth. Jesus does. He says, I'm the way, the truth, mm-hmm. and the life. And so you get that. Although God doesn't force us to have thoughts favorable of Jesus, or he's not forcing them to do that, but the truth is getting out mm-hmm. there. And these are people that are seeing miracles, or at least they're hearing about miracles, and it's almost like, well, they're not dismissing them, but they're saying this could really get us in trouble.
And this is another hypothetical here, but we live in an age where we can do a lot of things technologically, but if we heard about a man who was raised from the dead, like Lazarus was,
Mhm.
what would our reaction be?
I'd have to see it on the news to believe it.
Well,
right?
yeah, or on Facebook at least.
Yeah, on Facebook. That's right.
But I'm saying though,
right.
we would tend to be, hopefully anyway, we're not this way. But I know I would probably tend to be.
I'm a
I
skeptical
believe it.
person
Yeah.
too.
Until I,
Yeah.
like Thomas said, until I see and
Yeah.
touch him, I'm not going to believe you
Yeah.
guys. And I think that's how I would be too. Even though, people are talking about it on social media or they're saying this and that. Did you know that there was this? He
Yeah.
claims to be able to raise the dead, and I think we would tend to be dismissive. I say we, you and I. Maybe we're the only two.
Hey, you're the.
Maybe we're the only two, but I need to see more than that, and so, but I don't think that's where Caiaphas is right here. He's not that he wants to see more. He wants to see less.
Well,
Jesus.
they're afraid. They don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They're afraid. They probably should know. We maybe, like you're saying, tend to be critical, but they're human beings. They're living their lives, and if you are living in a sort of peaceful situation, and something threatens that, you're going to attack the threat. That's kind of what they're doing. I'm not saying what they're doing is right.
But we need to understand their humanity as well,
Right.
and have a little grace, I guess.
The whole reason that Jesus has foot on earth is because of sin, and so this has sort of muddied the waters, and you get Satan, trying to throw a monkey wrench into all this. I mean, and so they're plotting to take Jesus' life. I mean, Caiaphas prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. And not only for that nation,
them,
but also for the scattered children of Israel, to bring them together and make them one. That's true. We know that. We see that. We know like Paul Harvey, we know the rest of the story, but we know what Jesus did. These people are living it out, and they're just they're thinking, no, we've got to end this.
Well,
I mean,
this tells you what people value over unity, too. I mean, if it came down to it, but being united with other people that we don't know or understand, if the alternative of that is keeping my power, my authority, my position, what's really important here? Is it an us issue or is it a me issue? And I think
skin for skin.
We can answer that question honestly. We should answer that question honestly.
Yeah.
If it's us and I have to give up my power and authority, that's a hard sell.
Right. So, verse 57, the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that anyone who found out where Jesus was should report it so that they might arrest him. So they're getting the word out.
Well, and this is a good time to do it too, because all
They're
these
gonna-
Jews are coming into Jerusalem. Everybody's going to be there.
They're going to get
So
him.
the stage is being set here.
Well, they have
this is it.
sort of a trap here, so to speak. They're just waiting to spring it. So, 12?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Let's go through, what'd you say, 16?
At least 11.
Okay, we'll stop at 11. Yeah, that's the next day. All right, verse 1, chapter 12 of John. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus therefore came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. So they gave a dinner for him there, and Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those reclining with him at table. Mary therefore took a pound of expensive ointment made from pure nard, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, he who was about to betray him, said, "Why was this ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. And having charge of the money bag, he used he used to help himself to what was put in it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone, so that she may keep it for the day of my burial. For the poor you always have with me, but you do not always have me." When the large crowd of the Jews learned that Jesus was there, they came not only on account of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he raised from the dead. So the chief priests made plans to put Lazarus to death as well, because on account of him, many of the Jews were going away and believing in Jesus.
And that's the way it should be, right? I mean, if Jesus has effect in our lives, if the Spirit of Christ lives in us, I mean, we should, on account of us, people should be at least seeing Jesus in us, seeing how, seeing the difference, seeing a light. A lot of interesting things going on.
A lot of interesting
right?
things here, yes.
Jesus
goes back
yeah.
to Bethany, where he just was.
Yeah.
I think they were glad to see him.
What a reunion! How we all doing here?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really know what happened after Lazarus was raised from the dead, as far as that interaction there, you know. But we know they're close friends. We know they've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And you know, what do? This goes to what you were talking about, or I don't know if you were talking about it, or if I was just reading this in Ecclesiastes. What do they do when they're happy? When they're glad to see each other? What do they do for each other? Verse 2, they gave a dinner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is always and consistently a way to show unity, to show hospitality, to show someone that you care about them.
It says they were honoring Jesus.
There is no, I mean, you can think of a lot of ways, but I can't think of a better way to show how much you care about somebody than to cook a meal for them.
Right.
I mean, that is just, to me, the essence of being a servant and showing love.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a cook, so I mean, it helps.
Right. And I'm an eater. So,
yeah,
I eat what he cooks. So,
I'm not really a cook. I do some cooking.
No, he is.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, he's good. So Mary does what she does, and Lazarus pipes up. Hey, could have sold this and given that money to the poor.
Judas.
Did I say Lazarus? Well, strike that from the record. Judas pipes up and says, "Hey, this could have been sold."
I love how John throws little stuff in there.
Little truth here.
He was about to betray him.
Yeah.
Because we don't know this yet.
Right.
And
I mean, and he didn't say this because he cared about the poor.
He's a thief.
So it's interesting that Jesus picks this guy. I mean, he knows, and he picks him anyway. And
Judas didn't know.
No. Yeah, that's a whole other lesson.
It is.
Isn't it?
We won't talk about that.
But he didn't say it because he cared about the poor, because he was a thief. So why did Judas sell Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver? Because that's
his
what
heart is. Yeah.
was driving him. Sometimes people will do whatever they can in the moment for money.
And we learn later on, or in another gospel, that Judas he kept the money.
Well, yeah, it says it here, doesn't it? He was a keeper of the money.
Yeah. So he, and he helped himself. So he was doing pretty well off of the other disciples and what they were able to. They had to leave their jobs. So what money was given to them, they kind of had to pick up, maybe odd jobs along the way or have people donate. But Judas was there just kind of
taking money and nobody noticed this, I guess, because they were kind of they didn't notice. I think he might have noticed.
Did he say anything?
I don't think he
did. Did he let Judas?
Not until the supper did he.
Money was never, and that's the other thing. Money was not the main objective here. That Jesus, you're taking money out of that money bag.
He could pay taxes from a fish. Right?
Yeah.
When we go fishing to catch fish, to eat them, or
tax bill would be in the mouth of a fish.
Ooh, where's Jesus when you need him?
But Jesus didn't say, "Hey, you're taking this money, give it back." Money was not his concern here. He was not worried.
He didn't expose him.
Right.
Here.
I don't think he was worried about the money bag. too much.
No. Well, the disciples, what did you say?
It all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
This is, to me, it's very moving. So you get Jesus coming back with his guys to Bethany,
Mm-hmm.
and they're throwing a dinner in the honor of Jesus to honor him. And what does Mary do? Something she just showing her love. It was Mary, right? Yeah. For Jesus. And then Judas is like, huh. And Jesus knows Judas. And he says, verse 7, he says this to him, leave her alone.
Mm-hmm. I brought this up. Well, I didn't bring it up. I heard it from from a preacher that I was listening to about how Jesus, again, how he sees and saw women,
Mm-hmm.
and how he was a protector of, of women, because he saw the value of what she was doing and her value as a person,
Absolutely.
not as just a woman.
Right.
All these encounters that he has with people, the woman caught in adultery, the woman at the well, you have Mary here, Mary Magdalene, his own mother at the beginning.
Right.
Women seem to be driving a lot of the things that Jesus does here, and that if that doesn't speak to the way he thinks and loves women, then I don't know what else does.
Right.
Jesus is as far from a misogynist as you could ever get.
He has no problem.
He created women. He loves women. Yes.
Yeah. So I love this, verse 7. Leave her alone. I don't hear him saying this like, hey, leave her alone. I mean, I think he may have shot this one across the room.
Some volume in his
leave
voice
her alone.
here.
It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. And that's the point. It's not an arrogant statement. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It is the truth. So, I mean, you always have the poor.
And it's not a slight to
it's
the
not.
poor or anything. Like, he's not trying to say I'm better or more important than the poor here.
Right.
As far as being a person, but
well, the fact of the matter would be, you probably could give everyone $1 million in the United States. Give it a year, I think you'd have poor people and rich people.
Things would settle back down
Right.
to where they started.
Mean,
I think that's actually been a social experiment where things like that have happened. But that's true.
So Jesus is he's just stating a fact here. Mm-hmm. The truth of the matter is you're always going to have people that are poor. And I was reading from, was it Psalm 10? No, Psalm 11, I think, this morning. 10 or 11. Anyway, and how God really cares about those that are sort of, those that are poor. Mm-hmm. And it's an amazing thing. That's the sort of one of the themes that runs through the whole Bible is how much God cares about people in their particular situations, whatever they are. So whatever your situation is tonight, I believe that that God cares, and I believe that He not only cares, but He sees what you're going through.
Well,
and
most of the people He comes into contact with, the people that He spends time with, are not wealthy people.
Right. I mean, that was the knock that the religious leaders had on Him, is that He spends time he eats with tax collectors and sinners. I mean, so, yes.
Bob says he'd volunteer to be a part of an experiment like that.
Hey, I heard that you were going to get $2.5 million. Is that right, Bob? Yeah. I saw that on Facebook. I'll tell you later.
Okay. Like, I need to meet Bob.
He did. No. Something about $500 in Walmart cards. It's a scam run, right?
Okay, yeah.
So he caught on to that and so alerting
other
people. So
and that's one. We talked about Jesus. not showing favoritism to poor people, but spending time with them because, we never know when that could, we could fall into a situation like that.
Right.
And he wants everybody to know he's not a savior for the rich.
Right.
He's a savior for everyone.
Well, and he puts the emphasis where it needs to be. Hey, you're not always going to have me. You're not always going to have me. I'm not always going to be here. So while there's this time, while I am here, there are some important things that are going to be taking place, and people need to take note of this. And of course, the Pharisees and those that are trying to sort of hide this or get rid of Jesus. I mean, that's what they're trying to do, is cover it up, get rid of it, get rid of him. He's just trying to point them to the truth. And so,
and he makes it sound like, and of course we know it's not very long, but he makes it sound like this is an imminent thing, so she can have it for my burial.
Yeah,
because you're not going to always have me, as in,
right?
It's not going to be much longer. And
think about how hard it is for them to hear that kind of language. I mean, they're throwing a dinner for him, and then he's talking about his burial. He's talking about you won't always have me.
Well, and how confusing it is. We just saw you raise somebody from the dead. What are you talking about? Your burial. How are you going to die?
Right. Right. So crowd gathers. When they found out that crowd of the Jews found out that Jesus was there, and came not only because of him, but to see Lazarus. So Lazarus is sort of a star, I mean, wouldn't it be the same way today? If someone's raised from the dead, well, you'd have to change your phone number.
Yeah, I want to see the guy who did it, but I also want to see the actual guy.
I want to see the guy that it happened to.
Yeah, because I want to talk to him.
What kind of interview would that be, right?
So what was it like?
Every news organization would be, you name it, they would all be at Bethany. Jesus wouldn't be able to.
He could get through the crowd.
Well, he could.
Yeah.
He's proven that, right? So not only see him, but to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. And then verse 10 and 11, quite amazing. Mm-hmm. So the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus
Put
as
him
well.
on the list too.
So not only did they have a hit out on Jesus, they put a hit out on Lazarus as well.
And think about this as if you're a disciple. Okay, now they're going after this guy.
I mean,
who's next
yeah.
here?
Well,
it's not that I'm not justifying what Judas did either, but he may be. How much longer do I have here before they come after me? I better make a deal so that they can't.
Yeah.
Again, that's speculation, but it would be reasonable.
I mean, you get what you. Well, his mindset obviously was, you get. Well, I say obviously.
Well, that's what John said.
Yes.
He's a thief.
He's a thief. So you get what you can when you can.
Right.
From whomever you can. While you can. So whoever has it, you can take it. If you can take it, take it. That's a thief, right?
Sounds pretty thief-like.
And sometimes thieves won't tell the truth. You know that?
There is a saying, there's no honor among thieves. You've heard that one, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be dishonest. Believe that? So they put a hit out on Lazarus as well. For on account of him, of Lazarus, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him. Now, we just can't have that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
right? Because everybody's going to ruin what we have going on.
Is this going to end the message, though, if they kill Lazarus? Or is it going to drive it home even more?
Well, the thing is, though, when you're thinking of murder, you're not thinking real clearly, and you think, stop and think about that one for a minute. I mean, even today, how do you get away with murder?
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's thought about, but sometimes it's not.
Well, yeah.
But if you kill the chief witness, what does that do for your case?
Right.
This to me it seems
like you could say anybody that is caught talking about this, they're gonna meet the same fate.
Yeah, true.
So you
could cause fear.
You put the lid on it, and then you turn the heat up on it, and you get rid of
These
it.
Jews too, and I hate to generalize here, but they seem like they're pretty easily swayed in one way or the other. It's like they come back to Jesus, they hear about something that's cool, let's go follow this guy, and then I don't like what he's saying, we'll go back this way, and then they come back. Well, wait, he raised this guy from the dead. Nah, I don't know. They're talking about killing him now, so But I think it's a perfect representation of just the way humans are in general. We like to follow shiny things and
that's true.
Things that don't keep our attention very long.
That is true. Made me think of after. Well, it's in Acts after Jesus has been, comes back to life and all, and they were talking about, well, if this is anything, it'll probably just fizzle out. People said that they were the Christ, and it never amounted to anything. So and so, led a rebellion, and this happened to him, and so we'll just see. You don't want to be fighting against God. I think Gamaliel talked about that, but here, their main concern is this guy is going to mess things up for us. He's going to take away both our temple and our nation. And they're not including Jesus in this because Caiaphas prophesies Jesus would die for the Jewish nation. And not only that nation, but also for the scattered children, to bring them together and make them one. So he's not against, he's for, but they can't see that.
Well,
they can't see that. Or they're unwilling to see it.
According to his prophecy, Jesus is going to die. So does he think he's helping the situation along by going after him? Because he got the prophecy that said Jesus is going to die. Maybe that means I need to take care of this. But one way or the other, it happens. Yeah. Jesus allows himself to...
Yeah, no one took his life.
Right. He allows himself to be led away and killed.
Right.
So the prophecy was fulfilled.
Yeah. So we'll do the next day, next week, right? 12/12.
It's a long day,
isn't it?
Yeah. Some days feel that way. Yesterday felt like a week in one day. It was.
I had to.
Today wasn't quite that bad.
Well, today there was about an hour that felt like a week to me. I was trying to get a calf to go where it didn't want to go, and so while I was talking, my calf, I started getting a Charlie horse in my calf. So if in the video you saw tears rolling down my eyes, that's what it was. I
thought it was something I said.
Well, it might have been that moving moment by Darin. So that's as far as we'll get tonight. If you have any thoughts or comments or questions, feel free to ask, and we'll get to those as we see those pop up.
Unless we don't know. I mean, there are some things. The older I get, the more comfortable I am saying I don't know.
Yeah.
And so we'll obviously study about it and see if we can come. But there are some things that we just may not. Yeah. We just may not know.
We may not know.
I mean, you probably do. But
well, maybe.
I can make something up, but I don't think that would be beneficial for anyone.
That's not why we're doing this, is it?
Producers ending the show.
Yeah.
See you.
Madam Producer.
Good
See you next
night.
week.